Hey guys, it's Icy Dice, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk about the Silent Hill 2 remake. So, as you know, the PlayStation YouTube channel released a trailer for the Silent Hill 2 remake, and I'm both excited and worried, and I'll make this brief. I don't have too many thoughts, so let's make sure that this is a centered video and get right into it. I'm essentially worried that the upgrades, quote unquote, are not going to be upgrades at all within the context of what made Silent Hill 2 a great game. To clarify on that, there are two things that are very noticeable when you're playing Silent Hill, or even watching a gameplay footage of Silent Hill 2. That is the graphics, and that is the voice acting. Now, these two things are the focal point of many Silent Hill 2 review videos. And the reason why is because the graphics are obviously, they're old style poly graphics from the PS2, of course. And the voice acting is very jarring. It's very unnatural the way that the actors say their lines. The delivery is off. It's weird. It's really weird. And to many, especially critics, this is something that dates the game heavily and maybe even is a reason to lower the overall grade and perception of the game. But to me and to lots of other people, this actually contributes to the atmosphere and narrative of Silent Hill 2. The atmospheric part is obvious. It pertains especially to the side of the gameplay that has to do with the way the game looks. Low poly games, or at least lower poly games like Silent Hill 2, actually make games scarier, in my opinion, and in the opinion of others. The reason why is because it's harder to derive exact details from what you're looking at. Therefore, there's more of an element of just the fear of the unknown, that primal fear of things that we don't quite understand. And this is aided by the lower, quality graphic. And I always thought that in horror games, the older horror games actually look the most atmospheric and scary for this very reason. And it's for that reason that I'm not always necessarily thrilled with, remakes that update the graphical quality. And looking at the Silent Hill 2 trailer, it's obvious that one component changed is the graphical quality. The other thing that I'm worried about is that the voice acting is going to be improved. And I'm not sure that that necessarily fits the context and style of the game. Silent Hill 2 is a nightmare. Quite literally, actually. All of the monsters within it and the town itself is representative of the struggles and the tribulations and the sadness of our protagonist James. And I'm not going to get into the plot of Silent Hill 2 that much. I mean, you probably already know what it is, and if you don't, there are many YouTube videos reviewing the game that I think are worthy of your attention if you really want to know. But it's very much a mental, psychological game, toying with the fears of James. And it's for that reason that I think that this voice acting that's present in the original Silent Hill, this very disjointed, jarring voice acting with weird, strange, halted delivery, is in service of the tone and purpose of the game. It's very dreamlike, and that is especially applicable to a game which is trying to convince you that this is all psychological. This is a nightmare. This world that you're in. And I think it actually makes the game somewhat creepier and more disturbing. And you'll always have critics who are saying, well, objectively, the voice acting is poor, but you always have to put gameplay elements like that into context. It's poor in what context? It's certainly not poor insofar as it is servicing the game itself. And so I don't think it is poor. And I don't know if that's something that's in need of improvement. Because really, it's not even an improvement at that point. It's just an arbitrary change for the sake of making what appears aesthetically to be a more polished game. But I don't think that aesthetics and being more polished in terms of aesthetics, I don't think that that justifies the alteration. Now, one final thing that worries me, and this is more of a conceptual worry that I have with remasters and remakes, is I don't necessarily understand the purpose, especially if the game, isn't really that dated. And I don't think that Silent Hill is that dated as I just described, because the graphical and vocal or audio qualities were in service of the, broader point and, tone of the game. So I don't think it is dated. And if it's not dated, why remake it? Unless, of course, you're trying to add something to the story, add some characters. But then you run the risk of upsetting traditional fans, and maybe the things you're adding aren't that good. So I'm also worried on that front. But I'm excited. You have to be excited. Silent Hill 2 is to many people one of, if not the greatest horror game of all time. And it is certainly a revolutionary. It is certainly one that has inspired many games. So you have to wonder, even though, the last couple Silent Hills were not good, let's be real, they were not good. Starting with 4, I think that's when it got really bizarre and weird and not good. Even if that's the case, when returning to something of this, magnitude in terms of quality, you do have that hope intuitively that they can make something great out of it. And of course, it's a double edged sword. There will no be an in between for this game. It is either going to be great or it is going to be terrible. Because even if it is average or mediocre, the expectations for this game will be so high that average or mediocre is so unacceptable that it will be perceived, rightly so, as terrible. So it needs to be great or it's going to be terrible. I doubt there will be an in between. It's kind of like The Incredibles 2, right? The Incredibles was so amazing that even though Incredibles 2, it wasn't that bad of a movie, it was okay, it fell short of the expectations by such a wide margin that settling at an average level of quality made people despise it. So I say let's wait and see. Let's not be too hopeful, okay? Let's not set our expectations so high that we'll ultimately be disappointed no matter what product is delivered to us. But let's also think that this is an opportunity for the franchise to be revived in a way that it's been needing for a while. Because it has been dead ever since PT was unjustly removed from, being able to be downloaded. I think that a lot of the consumer base has rightfully despised Konami, and I think that this is an opportunity for maybe the legacy of Silent Hill 2 and maybe even the legacy of horror games to be revived. Because let's face it, the horror scene in terms of games it's been on a decline. We had great games like, Five Nights at Freddy's and Resident Evil 7 that proved to us that there were still sparks that could be ignited within, the genre. But other than those, what we've been seeing is a lot of cash grab, childish, poorly made horror games like Hello Neighbor, Poppy Playtime, Bendy and the Ink Machine, and sure, those are indie games, but they're still indie games that had a lot of time put into them, had a lot of, they had a large development team, a large, team of coders, and they had a lot of money backing them, and what we've seen from these games is nothing short of disappointing. Be it because the studios are sellouts, be it because their games are underwhelming walking simulators, be it because the games are full of bugs and glitches, once again reinforcing the point that they're sellout games, because they didn't even put in the time to properly playtest them. Whatever it is, the horror genre, as it pertains to the gaming scene, has been pretty lackluster. And a lot of that is also not just because of disappointing horror games from the indie community, but because AAA markets have not really been focusing on horror like they used to. And it's understandable why. You know, RPGs and, first person shooters and battle royale games are all the rage these days. So why focus on a less profitable market? I get it. Nonetheless, I do hope that from this emerges a revitalized consumer base, revitalized fan base, and that maybe more good things can come from this. Those are my thoughts on the Silent Hill 2 remake. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to comment below which videos you would like me to do in the future. Uh, as long as, you know, the general theme of your recommendations fit this channel. Be sure to give a like if you enjoy the video. Consider subscribing if you'd like to. You can always recommend me to some friends. I would appreciate that greatly. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.